How's it going, everybody? My name is TripleDmc. Boys, introduce yourselves.
Hello guys, my name is Darkswee.
Hello, I am Zest.
And today we've got pretty much the first episode of a new podcast we're going to be starting called GeoChat. Basically, it's a Geometry Dash podcast where we talk about anything and everything that is relevant in the community. So we hope to actually carry this on instead of doing those podcasts that only get like 1 or 2 episodes done on them, because there have been a lot of ones like that. And I'm thinking, like, because I was thinking ages ago of doing a Geometry Dash podcast with people, but then other people started doing them, and I was thinking, right, people are going to call me a copycat if I do them, so I'll leave it. And then people didn't carry it on, so we were all like, you know what, let's do it. All right, boys, what are we going to be talking about today?
Yeah, first of all, shout outs to Husey for giving me this idea.
Thank you, Husey. And also, as well, we're going to have him on one times, hopefully. So
Yeah, someday. So we can have a little bit of traction.
yeah, man. So 3 of us are the hosts, and we're going to be talking about everything Geometry Dash, basically what's happening in order to maybe hopefully keep the community discussion going, because we don't have much of that at the moment. Just at the moment anyway, you know? And special guests, obviously we're going to get some people on to talk about, you know, what's happening with them and stuff, and interviews. It'll be good fun. Alright, so you guys introduce the topic.
Yeah, on this episode, we're going to talk about the future of Geometry Dash and what we think could, quote unquote, save it.
So, I mean, I guess we'll talk about what's happening at the moment. I guess I had a few ideas for how we could start it. So I was thinking we'd start off with how the Geometry Dash community blew up and what was exciting and what caused it to grow. Then what kept it alive and why it's getting boring now. So I guess let's start what we start with.
I'm not going to be a big part of the first part of the discussion because I joined the community itself just last year.
Well, concerning why it blew up, it's that everyone was doing something different. Everyone was introducing something new to the game, like especially around 1.8 and earlier versions where new updates were constant. They were coming out more often and people were just seeing what they could do with it before it moved on to the next update. And even then, we're still developing on old functions of the game. Like if you look at Duel Maestro and Freedom Dive, they're functions of the 1.8 game mode, which is the duel. So it was really about what was possible and what people could do with the tools they were provided with. And there was always something new coming out, always something that was top notch.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think we should maybe leave that point a little bit to get into, because there are things that come before that. So I guess we'll start off with, I mean, yeah, as you said there, that's what did cause the community to grow. The fact that people could, there were so many updates and there was so much to find out and there was so much being brought to the table. And that's what kept it exciting, because as well, I mean, this is been going on for a long time, like hard levels, you know?
I think it was 2013 the game came out, wasn't it?
Exactly. And extreme demons were very rare back then. And
Hold on, someone's calling me. I'll be right back.
all right, I'll carry on. Are you there?
Yep.
All right, cool. So people used to be really hyped about the odd extreme demon like Ice Carbon Diablo X or Cataclysm or whatever like that, because not like it wasn't every day you'd see somebody beat it. Like I remember seeing a comment on Brandon Larkin, his Bloodbath 94 video, like a few years ago, back when I was fairly new to the game, and Zaro commented, I think it was Zaro, he said, keep going, you'll be like the next one to do it. And that kind of, you know, that brought to my head how it wasn't much of, like, no one gives a shit who's the next person to beat Bloodbath these days,
They just
because
want someone to do it. Oh yeah, these days.
exactly, these
Then
days,
it's more
because
like-
it's common, it's way too common, and you've got so many small players just like beating the top 3 with under 100 subs, and they get no recognition, like, you know.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
As an example of that, my friend Zrimmer, he only has
Aye.
100 subs. He got that very recently, and he's making good progress on Bloodlust.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Honestly, if he beats it, I will shout him out. I know I won't. I've only got 800 subs, but if I can help him, I'll help him. You know.
Yeah.
He like, and these are the people because, all right, it used to be exciting, but it's nothing new being brought to the table because of Extreme Demons. If you get what I mean. Because it's every other day you see it, and that's the only thing keeping the game alive anymore, because newer players or mobile players or non 60 hertz or non 144 hertz players don't really stand a chance anymore. And that's the problem, because back in the day, if somebody beat maybe a medium demon on mobile or whatever, that would be encouraged. People would be like, oh, GG on this medium demon, like, good job or whatever. Nowadays everything is either easy or extreme. You get what I mean?
There was a lot of support back with the community. Like, that's another thing people bring up. Like, 1.9 was the golden age. It was when the community was really tied together and there wasn't much of the toxicity. And I think a big part that played in it was when exposings started happening and everyone started throwing that word at each other, exposing.
Oh, I remember that. I remember when I first joined the game, and I first watched that mute troll video on.
Yeah.
I think it was only when it came out I watched it about Nubas, and I used to think Nubas was really good or whatever, and it was kind of just weird to see that how illegitimate players could be, and this is what made me believe that there were other people, you know, that loads of levels were impossible and that they were all being hacked. And for newer players, it's just confusing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I mean, another thing that was brought to the table with that video was like decode. Like, it was still relatively new because of the wave game mode, and people were just like, "Oh, it's crazy, it's crazy." And that's another thing, like with the whole people not getting recognition or getting the support, is that decode these days is like, for someone starting out the game, it's a relatively good achievement. I remember doing it on my mobile like 2.5 years ago, and just
I
being like,
remember
"Oh
when
my
I
God,
beat
actually
it, it
did
was so fun. You know?
And now people just like, really easy demon, shouldn't even be demon. It's like, these people are new to the game.
And
It's
what I'm trying to get at here is like,
Honestly, if they say that decode shouldn't be demon, they're just tryhards, because it's probably one of the hardest easy demons.
I'll be honest, if you've never played it before, yeah, it is. Because, and especially when you're new, it is. Because just, you know, anyway, besides that, I think that newer players are being discouraged by the bigger players, because you've got players like, you've got loads of the bigger players now calling everything easy, and nobody gets any attention. Like, I remember years ago when you'd play the new like cool hard demon that came out, you know, just the latest demon. It couldn't be easy or anything, but because it was like new or exciting or whatever, people would come on and cheer you on. You'd get 100 viewers just for beating an easy demon, right? But then nowadays, somebody with 100 subs or whatever can be beating like Plasma Pulse Finale or whatever like that on Twitch and only get about 3 viewers. And that's just because nobody gives a shit anymore. And that's the thing, because newer players don't stand a chance because they feel like they're not getting anything unless they're the best player, and because some people can't get to that. Like, newer players nowadays, I'd say the community will die out before they could actually get there, which is probably the main thing discouraging the community from ever thriving like again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you say Cataclysm and such, and back in the day when it was released, it was like, I remember playing it on my phone for the first time, and I didn't even get that far into the wave, and I gave up. And I do distinctly remember that. I mean, it was that long ago, but when I actually gave it a proper practice run, it's like, Jesus, this is the hardest thing ever.
Exactly.
And then you have people like Riot. Like, it was interesting to see his reaction. Like, he's got one of the most famous reactions on Ice Carmen Diablo.
Because no one knows how it feels. No one knows what it's like to actually do them at that time.
And it's the fact that they didn't underrate it either. They were sort of like, wow, this is really hard. This is my best achievement yet. Like, really sort of, like, they've committed themselves to this challenge and they've overcome it, and it gives you a huge motivational boost. Like, these people can do it, so why can't I? And it sort of made you challenge yourself, question yourself, what can I do? What is the boundary of my skill?
But the thing is, people used to like look at those extremes and think like, no, they're impossible, I'm not going to try them. And now people, like, you've just got people beating them as if they're nothing special, and that's what takes away the excitement of them. There's no like, when everything was coming out, when loads of extreme demons were being spammed out and Sunix was just taking them off one by one, like, they weren't exciting because they were like, oh, who's going to be the first person to beat it?
And then someone just beats it.
Exactly, and it's just like, right, that's not much of a journey, is it? Bloodbath was unbeaten for 9 months, and things on par like Blade of Justice were beaten like 6 hours after they were released. So it says a lot, you know?
I mean, I remember, like, when it came to Bloodbath, that there was like, oh, world records, and it's
exactly.
like, wow, someone's got a new record. Wow, did you hear about this person? They got this % on Bloodbath.
I know, no, nobody cares anymore, and that's a problem, because you see, nobody cares unless you beat anything really hard, and that's why once you do an extreme demon, you never get the same hype. Okay, I'll start again. Sorry. So, say if you're bad at the game and you beat a hard demon, you feel great, right? You think, oh my god, a medium demon, that's better than I've done before. But then the second you do an extreme or an insane, none of them feel like you've achieved anything anymore. Like, I used to always smile and say, yay, whenever I beat an easy demon. Now I just beat them like for nothing, and I don't feel anything. Do you know what I mean? Because
there's no fulfillment.
Exactly. Not anymore anyway, because nobody, you know that it's not going to go towards anything.
And again, another thing with the whole Bloodbath thing, that's number 45 on the list these days, and that's scary to think it was unbeaten for 9 months. And
I know.
Oh, it's scary.
So I mean by, like, newer players won't really stand a chance anymore.
I mean, here, the rate on the demon list is 437 records are registered, 312 being 100%. And it's like, remember when there was only like 3 people, and then it was 4 and 5, but now you've got 312 people on the list, plus however many who haven't entered on the list or recorded or streamed. So there could be thousands of people that have beaten it, and it's...
And as well, there's a lot of other, like, things, because, see, I feel because how 2.1 has been absolutely pushed as far as it can go, and for a while the anticipation was good, but I think everyone's just given up with anticipation, because in 2.0 everyone was like, oh, 2.1 soon, and everyone was waiting for it until it came. But now people were happy with 2.1, and then people started begging for 2.2, and it just wasn't coming, and everyone just gave up, you know?
Yeah.
And that's really discouraging, because people are deciding to quit, and you know, the game's dropping fast. I think if Rob started releasing them slower and slower, the game will die, obviously. But I mean, if he started releasing little updates with maybe one new orb every like month or something, that would be better, you know, because
then we have a chance to sort of play around with this new orb, and it's exciting, and people will just be like, okay, what can we do with this? How can
exactly, instead of having to throw everything on at once and let the community work the way with that.
I mean, I can understand why he does it, and it's not the easiest thing to just make an update. It's something that takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, a lot of coding. He has his own life and everything, and that's another thing people need to realize, is that he isn't just a robot. He isn't someone that's just full on working on it. He's got his own life to live as well. He's doing it as a hobby. He's done it because he wants to do it, but now it feels like
you have to realize he's made millions of dollars off of this game, and the least he can do is at least be a little bit more like interactive with the community. And as well, like, he acts as if there's no problems going on or whatever. He neglects every problem with his game. And another problem is, well, I mean, there's loads of problems, and there's so many things Rob Top should do, but he's just ignoring them. So, you know, that kind of goes without saying. But
I mean, again, I guess it comes back to the whole living his own life, because now he's got money. He has things that he's always wanted to do, probably with that sort of money. But it's like being a Geometry Dash YouTuber. You keep playing stuff, you keep playing, then you suddenly feel more pushed by people to sort of do these things. Like when big levels are released these days, it's sort of like, okay, hey Sonics, you should play this level. Oh, hey Gillister, you should play this level. And it sort of pushes them towards it and makes it not enjoyable for them. So then they start complaining, and then that's one thing that makes people want to stop playing, is the amount of pressure that's put on them to play these levels.
The thing with me as well is, like, because I don't get any enjoyment out of really anything else in the game anymore, the only thing I get enjoyment out of is pretty much Extreme Demons, right? Once I get pushed to the point where I don't enjoy Extreme Demons anymore, and 2.2 isn't out yet, what is there for me to do but to quit? And that's the same with any other player, because let's think of it this way, right? There aren't very many players on the come up at the moment, right? Because if everything is either easy or extreme these days, which is what it is, then everyone is either godly or terrible.
There isn't much in between space anywhere.
Exactly. There's no room for in between.
That you can, like, you're either good, mediocre, or you're not too good, and that's just the generalization these days. And then you've got people just being like, "Oh my god, you're so bad, you're so bad." It's
exactly,
like,
and that's so demotivating because, as well, like, I feel that because because you're always considered bad, nobody's actually gonna have time anymore to get to the top before the game dies, and that's the problem. Because I think the players we have now at the top are the only people that can actually really save this anymore.
Yeah.
And I think
feel like
we
most
should.
of the people,
Sorry.
I feel like most of the people calling you, like going to your like videos and stuff and be like, you're bad.
I know.
I feel like 80% of those are worse, and they're just looking at the top players like, oh yeah, you're bad compared to these, so therefore I'm gonna call you bad at the game in general.
Yes.
And it's also taking on after the people that they like, because remember when there was that huge thing between Tosh and what was it? There was Noctifly back at the time.
Yeah.
Because they had such large followings, if one person said something against the other or anyone else, the people just spread like wildfire to these other channels and just start hating, and it's not very fair on those people, because you don't know what sort of journey they've gone and what they've gone through to get to where they are, and people are just bashing on them.
And the thing, here's something, right? Remember when Tosh Deluxe played that prank on Nacho? I think, was it Nacho?
Yeah, Nuclear Nacho, I think.
Nuclear Nacho, yeah. He played that prank where he pretended to donate him $3,000. I can't remember exactly what happened to him. I think something happened to someone in his family or his house or something. I can't remember what that was, but yeah, Tosh pretended to donate $3,000 that could have saved his life, and Tosh could have easily given him that $3,000, but no, he just pretended to and pranked him.
Wait, who was this he gave it to again?
Nuclear Nacho. He pretended to give him $3,000, but he didn't.
Oh,
Do you remember that? And this is the thing, because
Kind of fucked.
just because Tosh was bigger, Nacho, I saw people hating on Nacho for it. Just because Tosh was bigger. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly, I like Tosh. I've played with him before. He's nice, but that went over the line.
I'm not the biggest fan of Tosh, personally, just because I'm not really the biggest fan of his ego or whatnot. But that's not to say that he's a bad person. I don't know him well enough. But there have been some things he's done that I don't agree with. Anyway, besides the point, I think, like, there's nothing new to be brought to the table anymore. Extreme Demons, and as well, levels not getting rated. Do you get what I mean? Like, Hyper Paracosm, Crimson Planet, whatever. People hype them up so much, and then when they don't get rated, it's like disappointing.
Yeah.
What now? And then it just sort of loses its
Exactly.
motion.
Like, besides God Eater and Singularity or whatever, what do we really have to look forward to at the moment? Like, think of 5 things we have to look forward to.
I mean, we have Ocular Miracle, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Light It Up, actually. Light It Up is one.
Yeah. I mean, people are only really hyped for Knight Rider because of the people that are in it. We haven't really seen anything super impressive from it.
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
get what you mean, but they I just don't think the hype of the game is that big anymore because of how repetitive it's gotten. You feel me?
There's also Vanaheim as well, which again is another extreme demon, but a decent one at that. But these days, the only levels that are hyped up are the difficult levels. I mean, you see Jonathan's levels, and they're all impressive on their own, but they don't really get that hyped.
Exactly. Whereas if it was a few years ago and he made a cool level, you'd get 100 viewers on Twitch for playing it because it was a cool level. Not
Do you
hard,
remember when
cool.
Windy Landscape was the big hyped up level?
Exactly. And nobody would even consider, people consider it an easy medium demon now. And that's like, but I think
remember-
people should stop categorizing how good a level is and how much they actually care about a level by how difficult it is, because difficulty isn't everything. Like, I'd rather watch a streamer who's playing a good level than a difficult level.
Yeah.
Going back to Windy Landscape again, if you type it up on YouTube, the first video that comes up is by Alex Payne 24, 2.4 million views
Yes.
from 3 years ago, and he's rated it insane demon.
He's such a nice
That
guy
was-
as well, Alex. I just want to add
Like,
that in
he
there.
was one of those humble people that tended to overrate levels, but it was accurate to how it was at the time. Like, you look at
'Cause no
Nine
one knew.
Circles, he called it a hell demon.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh my god, this is such an amazing level. This is something that's new. I don't know who will ever be able to do this. And Nine Circles was just so hyped at the time that it spawned so many sequels. But
And because
it's
no
one of
one
those
would
things
dare
that
to
can
beat
so
it because
quick out.
not many people were as good.
No. And it was just finding who could do such a thing. Like, you've got Windy Landscape in practice and everything, and it's sort of like, whoa, this is amazing. People actually trying this. But now you've got silent levels that are being attempted. You've got silent club step that's been made, and it's like, wow, this was something that was seen as impossible.
I
But
remember
now
that.
it's just been beaten.
But I mean, I think originality should be encouraged, because Levolution was a great example of this. It was just handled very badly. It was a great idea for creative and levels that would, unique levels that would be able to run on mobile and whatnot. But people just started abusing the Levolution tag to make a low effort level and get a feature, you know?
Yeah, it should never be with the aim of getting a feature. Like, if you're making a level, make it fun.
Exactly.
And if it,
Make it
turns
fun,
into something
Make
bigger,
it good.
yeah, like, take the time, put the care into not overlook anything. You see, like, these bugs in levels, but no one ever goes back to fix them or anything. And it's sort of like, don't be lazy. You need
Exactly.
to actually.
You should put, like, if you're gonna put it out there, if you were lucky enough to get a feature out of all the unnoticed people out there, at least give a shit, you know?
Yeah.
Be grateful that it's happened to you, because it can happen. I remember when it was such a thing that everyone was so grateful for a feature, but now these days it's like, hey, I got a feature, cool, now let's abuse it.
Yeah,
Because-
exactly.
I mean, if you look at the Aether Academy server, you've got people in there, like, one of them has the role CP, so they've got a rated level, but you don't see much constructive criticism being given there, or by the people who are higher ranking in the server. You see more criticism. There's always something negative to say, rather than, so this is what I like, this is what I don't like, here's how you can perhaps improve it.
Exactly. Like, you know what? Back in the day, right? If you beat a hard demon or whatever, and you were like, oh yeah, I beat Supersonic, somebody would like, oh, that's great, maybe sometime you can do Ultrasonic. Nowadays, if you beat fucking Hypersonic or some shit, right? People are like, you're like, oh my god, I beat Hypersonic, and then they're like, that's an easy level. And then you're like, but
Demotivated.
exactly, but that it's still as hard as it once was. And Ice Carbon Diablo X and Cataclysm, people would still consider Riot a god to this date. But now, if you've beaten the same things as Riot, like, I've nearly beaten Bloodbath, which means that I'm nearly at the standard of where the best player in the world was. You get me? And nobody gives a shit about me because there's always better people. but it's demotivating because I still went through as much of a struggle as Riot did, you know?
Yeah.
And
You went for the same struggle, you went for the same trials and tribulations, you still considered giving it up at times, and yet you stuck to it and you've almost beaten it. And it's that sense of achievement you get after sticking to it for so long. It's your big project.
and because
that
it doesn't
you
surprise
want to
anyone
be
anymore
done.
that someone can beat something. Like, if there's an extreme demon, people used to always think, oh, Jesus, do you think anyone can beat that? And nowadays, they're like, oh, yeah, just give someone time and they'll beat it. It's whatever.
Yeah, it's like just who will beat it first.
Honestly,
That's the
I
thing.
think
Sorry. Go ahead.
I would say that these days it's more a case of people don't give enough of a care towards these achievements. People don't care enough like they used to. People are always criticizing, but never sort of being positive and motivating and trying to find something good to say. They're always looking to nitpick about something, and people need to be more appreciative of what we've got now.
Exactly.
Like, you don't realize what you have until it's gone. And it's the same thing about life and everything. I know there's a lot of sayings about life and such, but with
Yeah.
GD, you need to appreciate all the things that people are doing now. You need to appreciate the achievements that are being done.
Exactly. It's
So
been
that-
taken for granted because there's so much of it. But
So
when the
that when
community's
we don't
dead
have it-
and people want to see the new level verified, but they can't because they're the people that were killing the community, what are they going to say then? It's like,
They're gonna say easy.
yeah. But I think as well, the community is going, everyone's currently giving out about how the community is dying, but nobody's actually doing anything about it. You know? Like, there's so many people like, oh, the community's dying, it's all, and they're looking for people to blame. And don't get me wrong, right? People, this podcast was about looking for the reasons why the community's dying, but I think
We've sort of fallen into the same process.
we have, but something I want to
That's the
suggest
thing.
now is, and point this out, is how I don't want to just give out about it and let the game die, right? I want to suggest things and try and start whatever I can, try and make some unique content for it, and just try and do whatever I can really towards the game to help. And that's what I think other people should be doing, because people are complaining about pretty much themselves ruining the community.
We're always looking for someone to point the finger at, but usually it's ourselves.
Exactly.
Once people can start being cohesive, because everyone looks to 1.9 being like, oh, it was so good back then because we were all cohesive. We were all part of something better. We were always promoting someone. We were always urging someone on.
And that's what
Because
people were
we've
saying in
forgotten
2.0.
that.
And now I genuinely wish we could go back to the way 2.0 was.
Like, people have forgotten about it. People need to be reminded, because now Sonics is basically quit. Gullister is still here. So we've got Sonics, we've got Wuxi, who's only back briefly, I think. Our Tactic is going into military, so he's not going to be creating as much.
I hope he I hope he's does all right, you know.
Yeah.
But
Diamond's
all of the
taking a
big
break until
players,
2.2.
all
Sorry.
of the well-known players are sort of leaving the game because they feel like there's nothing left to do, because at their skill level, it's not challenging, so it's not fun anymore. And that's what you should look for. If it's challenging, then that's what it should be. This game is meant to be challenging. It's not meant to be, oh, I don't find this challenging, so why do you find it challenging?
Exactly. Yeah, because what's hard for someone is easy for someone else. But like, you can't say to someone who's just happy because they just beat 9 circles or whatever, oh, that level's easy. Like, I don't care. It's my personal achievement. And that's what I think, because newer players don't really know what it was like when things were considered personal achievements, because the community practically glorifies difficulty these days, and they glorify the people that put other people down. Somebody's calling me.
No, for fuck's sake.
But
Yeah, anyway.
it's always the people who are, put the most effort in to do these achievements that get bashed the most, and it's not fair.
I know, and
Yeah.
because newer players, they don't remember the time when it was more of a personal achievement, because back then when you weren't told things were easy, people didn't care. Like, okay, say if someone was happy for you if you beat 9 circles or whatever, but then if you beat it back then and nobody cared, it was okay because nobody would not care either. Do you know what I mean?
There was always someone who glorified it, who made it being like, wow, you did this? Wow, that's actually
Exactly.
really good.
And there were some nice
That's
people.
really good. Good job.
But because there's so many people doing them that nobody understands why it's a personal achievement anymore, because all they ever hear these days is easy, 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 easy.
So people need to stop being so prestigious. They need to start actually seeing levels for how they are. Like if a level is seen as a general difficulty, then it needs to be seen for the difficulty. If someone doesn't find it that difficult themselves, then good for you. Just don't spread that around as
Exactly,
the
man.
opinion level.
I agree with that completely.
And it's just the general census these days, like, oh, well, this isn't that difficult in your opinion, because people forget about what an opinion is. That's what it is. People's opinions getting brushed off. And people don't appreciate what an opinion is these days.
I was talking to my friend Unigeny the other day, and he was saying to me that he was giving out about Eric von Wilderman classifying Sour Cream 2 as an insane demon because of how it's rated in the game, and he was like, they should use their opinion on how hard they he should use his actual opinion on how hard he thinks it is. And but the thing is, if anyone overrates a level, so say if there's a medium demon like Ditched Machine or whatever, and somebody thinks feels like they have completed a hard demon and they want to call it a hard demon because it was a hard demon to them, people will be like, oh, it's actually a medium demon, so why are you calling it that? Do you know what I mean? So they'll encourage opinion for calling something easy, but not if you find something difficult. Do you get what I'm saying?
It's very introverted thinking, is what it is.
Exactly. What else do we have to say, do you think? We covered everything, would you say?
Honestly, yeah, we should probably think of how can things get better? Like just
We'll conclude, right?
help.
Alright, so do you want to go?
Go through the points, basically.
Right.
So first of all, 2.0 or 2.2 needs to come out soon.
Obviously, that's a given, and he needs to be quicker with short updates and more active in the community.
Yeah,
We've
these
seen
are points
him.
that he has made, but still.
We see RobTop active with guitar, or not too active, but remember when guitar was sort of saying, oh hey, so this is what RobTop has said. RobTop's a new teaser. Like just new teasers would be enough.
Exactly. Guitar can't even make those videos anymore.
No,
Like, remember when everyone gave out
bad.
shit about, like, everyone used to give out about how Guitar was clickbaiting new updates or whatever like that and milking them. But now, honestly, I wish he was able to milk them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
I
then
think
again, RobTop does still have a life of his own to live.
Of course.
And I guess people do still.
and it's not all
see
RobTop's
that.
fault.
No, it's both sides of the creator and the consumers. We're hungry for more, and there's only so much he can produce. But it almost feels like we're pressuring him too much into giving us too much at the same time, and then we're always looking for something new.
Yeah, the
Exactly.
community is never happy with what we get.
I remember that because when 2.1 came out, it was good for a day or two, and then everyone was looking for things to complain about. And I was like, look at the last 2 years of the game and how great it's been. Like how many good things have come out of the update. But no, because people still want to give out shit about what, like the leaderboard's been broken or something. Or
People need to start being more grateful for what they have and being more positive about everything. They need to be, just generally positive. They need to stop being so negative about bashing other people's opinions and what the expectation is, and that's another thing driving
Exactly.
people up is the level of creativity that is demanded these days.
They should be, and honestly, I know like it should be having like creativity and originality should be encouraged, but take this for example, back in early 2.0 when it took a while for people to fully kind of master 2.0. You know what I mean? Because back in the day, like Toxin Lab 3, that was revolutionary because 2.0 was still being figured out at that time by people, but now because there's so many good creators and so many people working at it, 2.1 was figured out pretty much instantly, and they had so many good levels being used out of it that when Toxin Lab 4 came out, everyone was literally like giving out to Zaro for Toxin Lab 4 was a great level. It was amazing use of 2.1 or whatever, but it was just because it was the same standard as what people had already seen, because there were so many people working the update to its fullest.
Yeah.
As well, toxic players, like people calling everything easy, that's going to discourage people, and that's really what's going to kill this game off, you know?
Yeah. The games are basically being destroyed from the inside by the community.
Yeah.
Because I know people always make this point that the GD community is so toxic. I know there are more toxic communities out there, like way more toxic.
And it could be better. Like it could be better, but it's not the worst.
Yeah, like we need to be happy with what we get.
Yes.
Yeah. People should be more happy, like, oh wow, 2.1, let's see, like, this new mechanic can be used in so many cool ways. Nobody cared about that after a little while. Everyone just started nitpicking. And, you know, like, other things, like I said, everyone looks for, that's easy, or there's, and people look for ways to exploit everything. No.
Always something to bash is what it is.
Exactly.
So if we can stop bashing levels and be more positive and just generally nicer towards each other, because there's a lot of aggression as well. If we can be more cohesive, then things will start being more enjoyable. That's another big thing in the game, is that everyone's just saying, oh, it's not enjoyable anymore. That's because people are always nitpicking. There's always something to complain about. And I mean, I guess we're complaining to an extent, but with reason.
Exactly.
But we're always looking to justify ourselves. And it's the same traps that we keep falling into, that we keep finding something that excuses us or makes us feel like we're in the right. So
Subsonic
really
is a good example.
Everyone.
Yeah. I mean,
Subsonic is a great level, and C made a good video on it, you know? Sorry.
I personally don't like Subsonic because I think the gameplay's stupid. But it's, I mean, it's still a good level.
Yeah.
I mean, Vibrant's part is bad. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But the rest is good.
And that's a sort of general opinion these days, sort of like, well, I wouldn't say that, but what the general thing needs to be is, like you said, in your opinion. So it's sort of like, okay, so that's your opinion. So here's what I think, here's my opinion on the part. Let's debate. Let's see what parts we can agree on. Let's see who did the best job. And it was always finding out, wow, so-and-so is my favorite creator. So-and-so has done this revolutionary thing.
Exactly.
So again, we need to be more grateful for what we're getting, because it's another thing, like content creator putting out something new, something
exactly. And if
cool
people just bash it,
for
then
consumers.
they're gonna feel less motivated to keep going with that and to give people things. Like and same with Subsonic and Toxin Lab 4. I don't think Zaro even wants to give the community Toxin Lab 5 because of how much abuse he got for Toxin Lab
because
4.
of the response.
I remember that he was doing a stream when he was doing Toxin Lab 5, building it, and he was saying that, I don't know if I'll do a Toxin Lab 6. I don't really.
I don't blame him. Like, the way the community takes how much time and effort he puts into that for granted, because there's a lot of little kids coming into the community just demanding things off people because they don't understand what it takes, you know? And
it's like the amount of effort, the amount of time, detail that goes into these different sections, these individual parts of levels that overall make the entirety of what you're seeing.
exactly,
And
but
it's just
people
bashed, like it's
exactly,
been
it's bashed,
made.
and nobody is going to want to make levels if all they're going to get is bashed for it. Like, I remember back in the day, you could make like an average 1.9 level. Most people could put it together in a couple of hours, right? And it would get a feature, and everyone would be like, "Oh, this is a really fun level. This is really cool. This is this and that," you know. And that was liked at the time, and it's great. That was great, but it just doesn't exist anymore because people just want more and more. And
So it sort of feeds into the point of we need to be more grateful again, and
exactly, and
less-
just people, something as well I see, people complaining about the community dying but not actually doing anything towards it, because I think what a lot of people are doing right now and why loads of people are leaving is because people are telling themselves that the community is dying, and they're making themselves believe it. But I think if everybody changed their mind and thought, hang on, the community isn't dying, like it was just brought up and everyone agreed, then I think people would, if everyone didn't, it's how you look at it. If you look at it as if the community's dying, you're thinking, oh well, it's dying, I'm just going to quit. Or if you're thinking, no, it's still the same, you're not going to want to quit.
The biggest thing I think is that we need to challenge the norm, is what we need to start doing again. We need to stop looking to other levels as being the standard. We need to start challenging what we see as the standard for gameplay or for decoration and this and the other. We need to start challenging what we believe in so that there's always room for improvement, so that there's always something that we can say to each other. There's always something positive that can be brought up.
Exactly. And, you know, it's because newer players aren't going to appreciate what the community was like before. So they come into a game, they see it, and they don't understand much about it. So they just start bashing everything because that's all they know so far. If you join a community and all you see is toxicity, you're going to hop on that because you don't see anything good in it.
Yeah. Another thing that I don't know exactly if this happened or not. I just heard this, but apparently, like when Hotball rose up and became really good at the game, and you beat Bloodlust and stuff, apparently he instantly was like, yeah, this game's dying. Just as soon as you reached, like one of the top players, he was like, yeah, okay, now I'm here, fuck this game.
Well, I mean, he was grinding out so hard. Like Durami, for example, he was verifying Extreme Demons left and right, and then eventually he just got tired of it because it was putting too much stress on him. Same with Hotball, I'd say. And Hotball's only, was he 12? So, yeah.
So yeah, feeding into itself again, and we're all following what we think is the norm. So again, we need to challenge what we see as the norm. If someone says, oh, this game's dying, actually no, here's something that's still happening. Here's something new that's coming out. Here's something
Exactly, here's something positive about it than the negatives, you know?
So we need to start being more positive as well about everything. We need to stop being all doom and gloom, like, oh, the game's dying. Actually, no, it's not. There's still things we can do in the game. There's still untouched things we can do in this game. And if you look to I remember seeing one of Qatar's recent levels, and it was an amazing 2.2 layout that was made in our Geometry Dash world. And
let me guess, he got bashed because it was a layout.
No, it was, I don't know, I can't speak Spanish, but looking at the level, I'd say if that is the standard of what layouts are going to be, just imagine what the decoration is going to be like on it.
That's going to be good. And that's the thing. Honestly, I think 2.2 is the only thing that I can say about it at this point. Because people aren't going to... People are just losing hope in the games too much to the point where they actually want to do anything about it. So, yeah, that's it, really.
Yeah, 2.2 is what's gonna save us, but we as a community have to keep the game alive until then.
That's probably sums up the last 45 minutes. Great job.
So we need to start seeing what we can do
Exactly, and
So-
that's Levolution was a great start to that, but it was executed poorly, and I think we need more things suggested like this. So, I mean, I guess let's just see what we can do, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
I'd say that's a good place to end.
all right.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching the first episode of GeoChat. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope we can carry on. Did you guys have fun with this? I did.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
That's-
I'm hoping we can improve.
We could improve, you know, we could get some people on, we should...
Yeah, we need debates.
We need debates. We need, because
Topics.
you know, if we have each other in here, and don't get me wrong, this episode was good because we kind of we looked at what we had to work with, and then we kind of built towards a conclusion. But I think it's not going to always be the case like that. So instead of a podcast where we all keep agreeing with each other about things,
Yeah,
we
that's
need
what
to
we
get
did
people with
basically.
opposing opinions on. You know.
Yeah, this was basically us jerking each other's opinions off.
Exactly, but well,
So-
we did come to a conclusion from it, but sometimes from doing that wouldn't always happen. So we got lucky by doing that this time, but it wouldn't always end like that.
Yeah.
And if there's ever any situations in the community, you know, with like if anyone gets called out or anything like that, or if there's a debate going on, I think we should see about getting people on here to kind of just give them an equal platform. You get me?
Yeah.
All right. So thanks for watching, guys.
Hold on. We have a question in the chat first. Will God Eater change GD?
Probably not, but it will.
You know
sort
what?
of
Let's
give
leave
them-
on that. We'll talk about God Eater another time because that's a whole nother topic. All right.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of
That's
ideas.
a very big thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And yeah, have a great day. See you guys.